The real endgame was the relics we farmed along the way. Stuff like this. Maybe this one. Let's even throw in some Genshin. I think everyone agrees the relic system in Star-Rail is one that brings absolute misery to everyone who interacts with it. And let's be honest, it's designed that way on purpose. They got feedback on the artifact system in Genshin and made it almost exactly the same, if not arguably worse. Since in Star-Rail there are 12 possible substats you can get, while Genshin only has 10. Now, one of my favorite things to do on this channel, and you guys seem to like it too, is to discuss how Hoyo could possibly change stuff in Star-Rail to improve them for us players. So this video, we're going to be talking about the relic system. Now, a quick disclaimer, I'm not delusional. I know most of these changes or additions will never happen. The relic grind is part of the reason half the player base still logs in every day. I know that's the case for me, both in Star-Rail and Genshin. And if they genuinely add ways for you to get your perfect relics much faster, a lot of players would hit this milestone and wouldn't log in daily for anything outside of their daily missions. Removing an entire reason for a large chunk of the player base to log in every day is a terrible idea for Hoyo, so I know nothing big is happening to the relic system. Now, despite this, it is fun to talk about ideas on how they could help us out, and some variation of the stuff I do bring up later in a video could probably show up, although most likely with some less than ideal changes. If I were to be completely honest, the current relic system as a baseline is never changing most likely, but they could make additions on top of it to make it a little less cruel. Now, before we really get into the video, I just wanted to thank you guys once again for the insane support on this channel. I hit 1k subs pretty much less than a week ago, and we're almost halfway to 2k already, which is absolutely insane. I already appreciate you guys for just clicking on and watching this video, but I would absolutely love it if you could just scroll down and hit that subscribe button. I promise I'll keep releasing this kind of content that you guys have been loving. Okay, back to relics. I want to quickly throw away a very popular and simple idea that I've seen in the community, which is to just remove flat stats. Removing flat substats is just never happening. Flat stats are essentially never useful, and you never want them more than percent substats. Hoyo only added them to just dilute the rolls to make players take longer to get what they want, so they definitely don't want to get rid of them. An even bigger reason flat stats are probably never getting removed is because of how hard and annoying it would be to implement in the game. If flat stats are removed from substats, what happens to the relics you already have on your account? They could just change it to percent, but what if the piece already has the same percent stat on it? Maybe it's super easy, but I feel like it would be a whole nightmare to code in an update where an entire 3 substats are gone without screwing up something internally in the game. Now, the next thing is to do with simulated universe. Now, literally right after recording this section, Hoyo announced changes they would be doing to simulated universe to make farming less of a chore. Basically, you're only going to need to do one full clear of the sim universe per week. You can then save the blessings and curios you got from this run and just fight the elites or bosses to claim the relics straight after. I go into a bit more detail in this other video I did talking about this whole announcement they made a few days ago, so if you want to learn more, check it out. Basically, this is genuinely coming to the game in patch 2.3, so the farming part of the relic system is already getting a change. Now, the next change I think that would help out would be with the current relic crafting system in Star-Rail. The current one requires you to exchange 100 relic remains to craft a specific piece from a chosen set, but the main stat and substats will be completely random. You're basically trading 10 5-star relics for 1. Genshin actually has an equivalent to this called the strong box, in which you trade 3 5-star artifacts for 1, except you don't get to choose which specific piece it's going to be. Now, in theory, because you're able to choose a specific piece for Star-Rail, these two systems should be relatively even. However, in Genshin, I've literally built entire characters from scratch just using the strongbox system, while in Star-Rail, I feel like I've barely progressed any character builds. I can't figure out why it feels this way exactly, but it might just be since you just get less relics since you have to trade 10 of them instead. From my experience, the best way to utilize the relic crafting system is to farm a cavern of corrosion until you have 3 out of 4 pieces from a set that you're satisfied with. Then you can go farm another cavern for another character and just use the relic crafting to get that final piece to finalize the build. I think a simple change Hoyo can do to just make this feel a little bit better is to simply reduce the amount of relic remains you need to get one piece. I think lowering it down to 70 or even 50 could make it feel a lot more accessible rather than feel like you're saving up a bunch of 5-star relics just to get nothing useful at all. Now, finally, I think the best change Hoyo could add that genuinely might come out later is more items similar to the self-modeling resin. There's a few ways we can go with this one. The first one I've seen a bunch of is an item that can alter the main stat of the relic. This one would be really cool if it was in the game, like just changing your high crit value relic from defense to attack, except there is one problem. If a relic is a certain main stat, this same stat cannot show up as a substat. What happens if you try and change a piece with an attack percent substat into an attack percent main stat? They could make it that the original main stat swaps in, or it just rolls a random new one, but it could be a bit messy to design. I think an item like this would genuinely be really cool, but there's just some minor roadblocks stopping it from being perfect. I've also seen people bring up an item that allows you to revert relics to +0 and reroll the substats again. I think this one could actually be real, but they need to make sure all bases are covered. Firstly, it's got to be a rare item, probably similar to the self-modeling resin and how you can only get a few every so often. Next, they need to make sure they don't create an even worse feeling situation for plays with this item. What I mean is, imagine you have a decent relic that you want to reset to 0 and try and get it to be perfect and go all to crit or speed or whatever. Now imagine that piece rolls even worse than before and now you're just stuck with an even worse piece of garbage. Honestly, I think this feeling would be even worse than the one in the game right now when you just roll a piece with really good potential and it completely misses. Now all they have to do to address this is to add a feature where after you've leveled it to +15, it gives you an option to either keep the new relic or go back to the old one. This way, yes, some players will still just waste the item and not get anything out of it, but at least it won't have some players going backwards in their relic progression. I think something like this item could show up in the future, but since the game is still kinda new and they need players to keep logging on and being committed, they probably won't add it too soon. If something like this does get added, it probably would also be designed in a way that screws over the players a bit more. Now finally, a small change that could make the relic experience a bit nicer would be simply just giving us more XP. I don't know about you guys, but I'm constantly running low on relic XP. And I also have a ton of pieces I would love to check what they hit at +15, especially ones with just a single speed roll. This would be an easy fix, but just either make it when you salvage relics give us more XP, or just give us more through events. And that's pretty much it for the video. Once again, yes, this video is fueled by copium, as almost none of these changes are coming. If I had to rank everything mentioned in this video from most likely to least likely to be added, it would start with decreasing relic remains needed to craft, then items that can let you reroll substats, then an item that can let you swap main stats, and finally the removal of flat substats, which I think is never happening ever. Now before I close out the video, I just wanted to let you guys know I have a Discord server now. And the little reward for those of you guys who stayed until the end of the video, as this is going up, I'll be beginning a small giveaway in the Discord server of 5 supply passes or welcomes. Join the server with the link in the description for some more information on how to join this giveaway. And finally, if you did like this video, I would appreciate a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what changes you think Hoyo should add to make the relic system a little bit less depressing. Until next time, thanks for watching.